All things join in the cave where life and death meet. Part 3. The boy became very sleepy. Yes, rest now, he thought. I will rest, and the nothingness will take me. The boy fell into a deep sleep, and at first there was nothing but deep silence and darkness. But as the darkness became darker and the silence became more silent, the boy began hearing the whisper of a single note. The note seemed to carry him. It was taking him somewhere. A beautiful feeling began to take shape in the boy's senses, and the note began to take on the qualities of a feminine charm. The note had such innocence, such a purity. It seemed so fragile, as if it could easily be frightened and be carried off by the wind. And yet it also carried immense power and a profound love for the boy. This note wanted the boy to be free. It wanted him to live and to know love and peace. As the note continued to carry the boy, light began to emerge from the darkness. The darkness became more and more filled with light. This was the boy's true home. This was his life force. He then allowed the light to envelop him and fill him with love. It was okay, the light seemed to tell him. You were never alone. I was always with you. The boy noticed a woman emerge out of the light. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever laid eyes on. She was infinitely soft, and the boy could sense she loved and trusted him completely. There was something almost painful here, though, like he would burn in any hell for this woman, to save her life, if he had to. Not out of some sense of courage, honor, or duty, but the simple fact that watching her suffer would be worse than anything that he himself could be threatened with. It was for her that he existed, and it was for him that she existed. She was so familiar and yet completely unknown, as if with every moment it was only then that he knew her for the first time again. Smiling at him, her lips began to move as she said to the boy, I have raised you, and I have been with you all these years. I have a gift for you. But first, there is something else. I must give this back to you. The woman now changed. Suddenly, she looked very ancient and wise. She produced a flaming sword. The boy recoiled, but there was nowhere to escape. She was all around him. He winced, and with a somber expression on her face, she thrust the sword into the very center of the boy's heart and being. The heart, which had been thumping weakly in the boy's chest from starvation, suddenly filled with a sharp pain. The pain tore him open, as if he felt the loss of his mother again and again and again, never ending. When would it stop? But then he noticed something was different here. This time it wasn't some dull, vague confusion veiling the truth. It was like he had lost this mother, the real mother. The mother of his childhood had only held a fragment of this mother. This pain hit him like a sledgehammer, and he felt the pain bursting in every nerve of his body. It was not only the loss of his mother, everything was lost. He had been losing all his life, piece after piece, always breaking off of him. His hands, no matter how hard they clutched to a thing, it would always drift away into the darkness and fade into nothingness, as if it had never really existed in the first place. This, The feeling of constant losing overwhelmed him, as it enveloped the entirety of his being. His spirit could do nothing but submit to the immensity of sensation. It surged through his body, and he began convulsing. The seeds of his identity were nothing compared to this. He realized that his mind had been nothing more than a fragment, and in his body lived an ocean too big and powerful for the pinprick of his identity to contain. With that, the boy drifted back into the darkness. As some time passed, consciousness began to stir in the boy's body. And as he was back in the deep hole next to the bones of his earthly mother, as he moved his hands, he found a ring on a small bone that was once his mother's ring finger. He examined the ring by touching it. This must have been her wedding ring. He put it on his own ring finger. It fit well. It was then that he remembered his father, who had gripped the boy and dragged him into the wilderness, and then abandoned him there. He then felt the note he heard in his dream, and the cave began to fill with light. Now he could see everything very clearly, and he saw cracks along the walls of the hole he was in. He used them to climb out,